This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for K-Yaks with Ken Ludmer. And you are your guest today, correct?
That's right. Some days chickens, some days feathers. All right. Today you got the feathers. Yeah, that was the old Mexican thing. He used to run around in jail. When you know where that came from, chicken and feathers?
No.
It's a story about Mexican jail. Is that some days the prisoners. When they had a good crop, the chickens would come in, they'd cut them up, and they'd get chickens. And when other days, because it was Mexico, you never could count on a delivery. So those other days, you got feathers.
Ah, got it. Okay. Well, I think you should tickle our fancy today.
Okay. So I got hello everybody out there. And before I get going, as usual, you can't really do the show unless you have your talking hat on, right? So you got my talking hat. So next week when you tune in, I got a really good guest. I got Matt Ludmer, who calls himself a Jew-boo. He's a Jewish Buddhist. Worked on Wall Street for over 20 years, and left for ethical and moral reasons, and opened up a wealth alignment center. Now it's a center where he only invests in companies that do good. In the Buddhist and Jewish world, they meet where you are a citizen of the world and you find things to do that are good for the world. And then he has some select clients that invest in these companies, and everybody benefits. So he's got a very interesting story about his meditation and his search for the truth and inner wisdom and all that stuff. So tune in next week for Matt Ludmer, my cousin, the Jew. Today, I'm going to try to do some funny stuff today. Usually I'm kind of serious, but today I want to tell you some celebrity stories. Celebrities I've met along the way. It's been a long road, so I have a lot of celebrity stories. And then I have a little piece on what I consider the most important issue of the day, followed by, it's called The Peace of America is Lost. If you listen, there's a Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson song where they sing about the kind of America that no longer is. There's a kind of piece of nostalgia. And if we get through all of that, I got 2 road stories. So here we go. My first celebrity story is I am 12 years old. And I get invited in New York. There is the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees. And the Dodgers are playing at Ebbets Field. And before every Dodger home game, they got this big, heavy-set Jewish guy named Happy Felton. And Happy Felton runs the Knothole Gang. It's a show where they invite 3 little leaguers to come on to the show. And if you're a catcher like I was, they get a famous pitcher to throw you the ball to see who wins. So I had Ralph Branca throw to me. He was played for the Giants. Now he was on the Dodgers, the end of his career. He threw me my first curveball in the dirt. Of course, I missed it and had to go run. But anyway, the story is after the show, you get to go into the Dodgers dugout. So I get to go. This is like 1955, 56, somewhere around there. Get to go to the Dodgers dugout. On first base, they have Gil Hodges. On shortstop, they have Pee Wee Reese. Catching, they have Roy Campanella. Don Newcomb is pitching. Carl Furillo's in right field. Duke Snyder is in center. Sandy Amoros is in left. I'm meeting all these guys. And then there was this other guy, this number 42, who played second base, Jackie Robinson. So now I'm looking face to face with Jackie Robinson. I'm like in awe. Like, this is, I'm a baseball kid, and here I'm meeting Jackie Robinson. So one of the other Dodgers says to Robinson, "Give the kid something." So Jackie Robinson gives me his bat.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can read it, but right here, it says Jackie Robinson engraved.
Absolutely. I see it. Oh, wow.
The authentication is this. If anybody wants to look it up online, how they authenticate a bat, it's made by Louisville Slugger, and here's the company that made it, and this is the authentication number. Here, I always get a call. And I was crazy enough as a kid to not just, wrap it up and put it away. Well, of course, I walked around the high school all week with it. But right here, if you can see this smudge.
Yeah, I can.
Home run with that. Little League home run. This bat has a fat handle. It's a 35. Most kids can't even pick it up. But that has been a treasured story of mine for years. At the same age, I get a job at 14. I now work at King Features Syndicate in New York City. It's the editorial offices for the old New York Post and the Journal American, a Hearst newspaper, where all the writers and cartoonists and all the celebrities that write for the Sunday Journal American. My job, I'm a messenger. So I have to deliver messages around the city to these celebrities. The first one, they said, "Hey, kid, take this envelope over to CBS. His name is Arthur Godfrey." So if you know,
wow.
Arthur Godfrey was a famous television and radio personality. Him, Dorothy Kilgallen, all those people. So I go to the office and I open up the door. No secretary. There he is, sitting behind his desk. He's got pictures. It looks like Sardi's. He's got pictures all on the wall with all the celebrities and everything. And I give him the envelope. And I said to him, Mr. Godfrey, Ward Green, who was the managing director of King Features Syndicate, says hello. Really? You know Ward Green? I said, not only I know him, I call him my Uncle Jimmy, blah, blah, blah. And we're having this whole conversation. So he gives me one of those weights that you put. He's the first thing he could grab. He gave me one of those little circle weight things, put on his desk. It was really enjoyable. Next letter, they said, you got to go down to the Empire State Building. I asked the man downstairs where he is, but his name is Gene Autry. So now I go upstairs in the elevator and I go into Gene Autry's office. Same thing, small little office. I have an envelope. I said, I have a personal letter for Gene Autry from King Features, and I need his signature. I go in. He knocks on the door, and I walk in, and there's Gene Autry. Now, I had watched every movie he ever made, right?
Wow.
So now I'm in there, and I Mr. Autry, Ward Green, blah, 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 sign here, please, and everything. And he said, well, you're a very polite young man. He gives me a bronze horse with him on it. It's one of those little things you put on your. So I got somewhere in my relics pile, I got a horse from Gene Autry.
Was it named Trigger?
It didn't have a name on it, but it should have. Okay. So now just about 10 years ago, I used to go down with a bunch of guys in the morning to the local Starbucks in Westfield, New Jersey. And the local guy there was Billy Ard. Now, Billy Ard he's now into finances, but he was a starting guard for the New York Giants, and he won the Super Bowl in 1986. And he has friends that come to see him in the morning. So we would sit around, this whole group of guys, and Billy was just one of the regular guys. So who's one of the guys who comes to see him? Jerry Cooney. Jerry Cooney was the world ranked number 1 in the world for heavyweight champion. He fought Larry Holmes. He came within 1 inch of being a heavyweight champion. He threw a left hook that missed Holmes's chin by this much. And also who used to come in was Al Leiter. Al Leiter pitched for the Mets and he pitched for the. He's like really nice, sweet guys. Cooney especially, because he ran a boxing camp for poor kids, and he himself used to do some of the training. When I was in New York, there's a really nice furniture store called ABC. It's top of the line furniture. Celebrities, etc., go in there a lot of the time. So I was in just looking way above my head, looking at the furniture and admiring it. And on my way out, it's a straight hallway. And you see down the steps, and this Rolls Royce pulls up. Whoa, Rolls Royce, who's coming now, right? Out of the Rolls Royce comes this gorgeous 6-foot woman. And she's walking up the steps with high heels. And there's, of course, a bodyguard a couple feet behind her just watching. It's Gina Davis. Now,
Oh, wow. Yes.
So I'm just awestruck. So I stop. I'm at the top of the steps, and I'm just, I want to take the whole thing in. Bink, 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 up the steps. She gets to the top step, and what happens? She trips. And now she's falling forward. And I rush, and I grab her. And I just hold her, now I'm holding Gina Davis, like they say. And she said, "Oh, thank you." Blah, 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 blah. She reaches, she's going to go into a pocketbook. She's got this tiny little pocketbook. She's going to give me money. I said, "You can't give me enough money for what I just had." So now we got 5 guys, all my buddies. We're going to Vegas. We're going to do 5 days, 5 guys, right? So the first night we go in, we're now at the Mirage Hotel. And we hit the craps table. And so it happened to be, you fly to Las Vegas, you leave at 7 o'clock, it takes 3 hours before, and after 10 o'clock, it's like, we're already exhausted. For us, it's like 1:32 in the morning. But, we're not going to go to bed. We're going to go gambling. So we get on the table, and we're doing very well. We're yucking it up. We're making some money. And I look over at the next table. There's a guy by himself shooting craps. They have a security guy with him. They got the pit boss. They have, looks like the manager. I mean, this is high end. He's got a tray of gold coins. A tray, a stack. The stack's $100 chips. So before he even turns around, I said, "We got a heavy, serious player." So we're watching, and all of a sudden he turns around. "Who is it?" "It's Bruce Willis." So I say to the guys, "Come on, let's see if we can get over there." It was $1,000 minimum at the table.
Oh, my.
Now, we just won $1,000. So we traded in our $1,000 each. We got 10 chips each. 10 chips. I mean, that's chump change in both things. But we got on the table. And, "Hello, Mr. Willis, blah, blah. Call me Bruce. How you guys? I heard you guys over there. You're doing pretty good." So now he's just a regular guy at the table. "You guys are doing pretty good, right?" "Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah." He starts rolling, and we start yucking up. "Come on, Bruce, put down some chips." And so we're egging him on, and he's putting down 4, 5, 6 on each number. He's winning thousands of dollars. The next thing he does, he's flipping chips to us. He's throwing $100 chips to us. The most generous man you ever saw. We had such a ball. It was a terrific night. So now we go to bed, we wake up the next day and say, "Well, listen, we're on a roll. We made 1,000 each, and he gave us about 500 each. So we're really happy." I'm going to the spa. So I go down to the Mirage spot. You get the white coat, you sit down, you take the sauna, you take the bath, you get the massage, you get the whole 9 yards. I'm now back in the dressing room. Little lockers like any other gym. And next to me, I look to my left, and he has these absolutely tan legs. And Jesus, this guy is really tan. I mean, he wasn't a black guy. He was a white guy with a real tan. And he's naked. And I tell her, so I look up, and who the hell is it? It's George Hamilton.
Oh, my.
So I said, "George, excuse me for staring." I said, "But, that tan, I'm glad it's real." And he cracks up. He says, "You're funny." So I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I got a cigar shoot. I'm doing a cigar shoot for Cigar Aficionado, blah, blah, blah." So I go upstairs, I tell everybody, "I just met George Hamilton." "Yeah, right, you met George Hamilton." No, really, I met George Hamilton. 5 years later, now at the Bellagio, go to the gym. have a regular workout, not a spa, just the gym. Come back, I swear to God, guy comes in, puts a key in a lock, I turns around, looks at me, and it's George Hamilton. The second time in a row. What's the chance of that in the same, different hotel, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at him, I said, hey, George, 5 years ago, five years ago at the Mirage, we met just like that. He said, you were doing a shoot for Cigar Aficionado. He says, that's you? I said, yeah. I said, well, what do you do now? He said, listen, you want to come? I got models this time. We're doing a photo shoot. Thank you, Ken. Oh, my God. So the New York story is about Mayor Ed Koch. Now, Ed Koch and I go back a long time. When I used to be a film buff, so I used to go to the Angelica Theater a lot. It's an art house. And I used to write reviews. I had a column called Yak and Back, and I used to write movie reviews and restaurant reviews, travel reviews, etc. So on Friday afternoons, Koch has a movie review show. It's in the waiting area before you go in the theater. They sell you coffee, you have circle tables, everybody sitting around. And Koch would do a review. Now, sometimes I liked his reviews and sometimes I didn't like his reviews, but it was interactive. And I would say why I liked it or why I didn't like it. So, he kind of had his eye out for me because I used to be there every week. And so he used to look for me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now we're at Cinema Village. Now, Cinema Village is a very, very small theater on 12th Street. It's downstairs. Now, Koch is an older man. He's no longer the mayor. And he's had a heart attack. And you read it in the paper, he's frail now. So where do I meet him? I'm in the bathroom, and there's a 2-stall thing, just with a half a stall, so you can see over it. So I'm sitting there, and I look up, and I see, I know it's him. And I said, this is an uncomfortable place to have a social conversation. And he laughed, and I said, I remember you from, we used to do the thing over at the Angelica. He said, yeah, you were that guy. I know you. You were that guy. He said, what's your name? My name's Ken. Oh, okay. So I wash up. He washes up. We leave. Now we come to the stairs. Now these are like 17 or 18 stairs. And he just, and he takes a look like that. And I said, Mr. Mayor, may I help you up the stairs? Now, Koch was the best one-liner, always, how am I doing? That was his phrase. He looks down at me and he says, did you vote for me?
Oh, I love it. Oh, how wonderful.
Not only that, I voted for you 3 times. I voted for you for congressman and twice for mayor. He said, then you may help me. And he gave me his arm and I helped him up the stairs. Next is Bella Abzar. Now, I'm the coordinator for West 11th Street recycling. And I live between Greenwich and Washington Street in the West Village. And every other Saturday, we organized this is 1970. We organized a major recycling program, newspapers, magazines, and plastic. And so the next block up towards Gainsport, where we would have the center, is Bank Street. And 3 houses in on Bank Street is this beautiful brownstone. First floor front. Bella Abzar is coming out. Now, Bella Abzar is now she's with Gloria Steinem, with Betty Friedan. I mean, she's the whole women's movement. And she's this feisty Jewish woman who always told you what she thought. No bullshit with her. She was straight out there. So I see her struggling with her newspapers. She's an avid reader. She's got 1 million newspapers, and she's trying to get them down the stairs. I introduced myself. I said, hi, Bella. My name is Ken Ludmer. This is my program. We're doing the recycling. May I help you? Oh, what a nice young man, blah, blah, blah. So I now help her with her magazines. I get them down. I said, listen, I got a card here. I'll take them for you. Oh, okay. I said, I'll be back in 2 weeks if you want help. 2 weeks later, I come. She's waiting for me. So now she's got the thing. She gives it. She said, blah, blah, blah. This leads her on the 3rd week to say, listen, so I'm telling her about that I have the television show on Thursday night called Village Neighborhood Television. I said, would you like to be on the show? I could interview you. Blah, blah, blah. Well, let's go talk about it. So she invites me in. And we go right in the front window. There's a little bay window. She's got a little circle table. And now I'm having tea with Bella Abzar. And we did this every other week for about a year. That she was a wonderful, wonderful person. Really loved her. So on 11th Street, I used to sit out, because I had my apartment was first floor front. I used to sit out on the stoop like every other New Yorker. When it's hot, you sit out on the stoop. And this black guy with a guitar kept walking by. And I know it's Richie Havens, but I don't say, I just, hello, blah, blah, blah. So finally I get up enough chops so I see him come, hi, Richie, how you doing? How you doing, man? Blah, blah, blah. Why is he walking on it? He's got a girlfriend that lives between Greenwich and Washington Street. So he's in the neighborhood always to see the girlfriend. So next time I see him, I'm outside, I'm smoking a joint. So he comes by. I know hey, Richie, I got a good boot. Yeah? I said, come on, we can go inside. I live right here. But he goes inside when we're now smoking a joint. So now we're smoking a joint, and I say to him, well, I'm the bartender up at the White Horse up on the corner. And what we do is we have musicians come in and play. It's a famous place. So musicians come in, and if a musician comes in after 12 o'clock, we throw out all the tourists, and it's only private party. It's only people that know the horse, or we know you, and we'll let you in. I said, anytime you want, just stop by. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So now it's a Friday night. I'm working the bar. Door opens. Richie Havens walks in with his guitar. And he walks right up to the bar and gives me the old, hey, how you doing? Like that. Sit down, have a drink. We throw everybody out. We lock the door. We go in the back, and Richie Havens plays for like 2 hours.
Oh.
We had John Sebastian did it. We had Joan Baez there one time. I mean, it was all the Chambers brothers. We had a lot of people that would come in there. And now we're out. It's mid-70s, like 1976. Me and my buddies are running summer houses out in the Hamptons. Now, Hamptons is the hoi polloi. It's the upper level summer stuff. It's Ralph Lauren, and it's all, it's a lot of money. And so we would rent a house for like $10,000 for the summer. We'd get an 8 or 10 bedroom house. We'd each get a room, and we'd share. People would pay to have a share in the house. So we would advertise in the Village Voice, and we'd have parties at my friend Richard, he had a big triplex. So we would have parties to select the people. We wanted an A-list house, so we wanted to select people who would come out to the house. Now, Richard is an ER physician, and he knows everybody. He lives in this triplex on 83rd Street in the Upper West Side. Everybody walks by, they know Richard. Who's one of his patients? Harvey Keitel, the actor. So Richard says, listen, we're trying to get some names, for the party. I'll ask Keitel if he wants to come. So we write in the Village Voice, party Friday night, guests only, sign up, Harvey Keitel will be there. So we have the party at Richard's house, and now because of his name, it's bringing in all kinds of people. And Keitel calls Richard and he says, I'm bringing a friend. Who's the friend? Robert De Niro. So Keitel and De Niro show up at our party, and it was like this major hit. After that, everybody knew this was the party you wanted to go to. So now we're out in the Hamptons. One of the guys in the house with us is Bernie. He's a lawyer. He's like 5'6". And we used to call him Bird Dog because he was afraid of nobody. He would go up to any woman way out of his league, and he would talk to. He had no fear of rejection, nothing. This was our role model. Like we were all doing pretty well, but Bernie was our model. So we're now out in the Hamptons, and we're trying to up our game out in the Hamptons because we now have a nice house. We have a good crowd. So we figure, what do? We should go to the galleries. Galleries out in the Hamptons are, full of these kind of people. So we're way above our level. So, but we're at the gallery, and we're dressed up, and we're telling everybody, don't fuck this up now. Don't say anything there. So we're looking around, and I look over and I see her. I said, oh my God, you could recognize her by the space in her teeth. I said, you guys, that's Lauren Hutton. No, yeah, it's Lauren Hutton. I'm telling you, I know her. I know what she looks like. Bernie says, that's Lauren Hutton? Before we said anything, bingo, he's over there. He's over there, he's chatting her up. Hi, my name is Bernie. He's giving a talk, blah, blah, blah. And we're sweating like, oh my God, he's going to say something. We're going to get thrown out. You know, they're going to find out we're just local yokels, blah, blah, blah. He comes back. He's got her card. And on the back of the card, it says, Friday, 11 o'clock. We got invited to the house. She's having a party. So now we get Friday night, 11 o'clock, we go to the house, and it's got the gates that open. There's Maseratis, there's Ferraris, there's all kinds of cars. There's guys in black suits with the things in the ears. You know, this is like security gazoo. And who are we? We're the guys that got the card. And so we show the guy the card. And he lets us in. So the four of us come in there. Now this is a palace. You walk in. The chandelier should have been in the Metropolitan. I mean, this was probably a $30 million house. I mean, she was the Revlon girl. I mean, she had the biggest model contract ever from Revlon. So we walk in, and here's this big circle table. The first thing you see underneath the crystal chandelier is a circle table with a bowl. And what's in the bowl? Cocaine.
No idea.
Little spoon, cocaine. Out front, in front of everybody. That was the level of party that you walked in. You walk in, you politely took a, and you walked into the party. And they had guys going around with the trays, with the champagne and stuff. We were, and she was lovely. Bernie goes up to her and he says, I'd like to introduce you to my friends. And, you know, hama, hama, hama. And so now I'm living on West 16th Street in Chelsea. And it's a fairly big, huge apartment house. There's two wings to it, my wing and the other wing. And the laundromat in my wing got broke. It flooded the floor, whatever, you couldn't use, so we had to use the other side. So I'm now going to my laundry. It's like Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Go to the laundromat, and here's this single woman that had just left her wash, took her wash out to go put it in the dryers. So as I go to look in the dryer, there's a little pair of red panties. I pick up the little red panties and I say, excuse me. And I'm holding it like this. I'm saying, I believe these are yours.
Oh.
You know? She says, oh my God, you know, oh my God. So blah, blah, blah. So it was funny. So we're both laughing about it, that it was this awkward situation. And blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I usually don't come here. I'm usually on the other side of the building. And she asked me, what do you do? I said, well, listen, I'm a starving actor. You know, I'm on, you know, off Broadway. I'm trying to make it. You know, I'm also studying to be a shrink, you know, blah, blah, blah. She said, oh, really? I said, well, what do you do? She says, oh, I'm an actress. I said, you're an actress? Yeah. I said, might I know what you do? She said, well, I'm on a daytime show. I said, oh, you know, she said, no, men don't watch daytime show. This is soap opera. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah, my name is Susan Lucci. Susan, oh, hi, Susan, nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. Turns out to be Susan Lucci from All My Children.
Oh, my gosh.
And was, you know, famous for never getting an Emmy.
Right.
So I'm at the White Horse and bartending. Now, you know, a lot of people come into the White Horse because it's a famous bar. And I have a friend named Jack. He's an actor, and he's got a lot of actor friends. And so he just went to a cattle call and comes back with Peter Boyle. Now, if you know Peter Boyle in 1970, this was right after, this was probably around 1972, 73. Peter Boyle had made Joe, which is a movie about this, guy in the hippie land and blah, 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 blah. And he was all excited. He said, I don't know, but I just got a call from Mel Brooks. He's going to make Young Frankenstein. And they want me to play the monster. And I don't know if it's an insult or not. He said, because Boyle's 6'2", 6'3", and they're going to build him up and they're going to make, and so, we're having this whole funny conversation. So he makes the movie, and then next thing you know, he's this megastar. After he makes that, he gets hired as the father on Everybody Loves Raymond. And so now he's Ray Romano's father on with Doris. And now I run into him because of the Hamptons connection. He's out there. He's got a house. And so ran into him on the street. Peter, remember me from the White Horse and Jack? And he said, oh, yeah, that was days when I was a poor guy. He said, blah, blah. And so now he said, yeah, now you're a rich celebrity. So I asked you for your goddamn autograph. And the last one on my list is the best. I was a Muhammad Ali fan all my life. I thought he was absolutely the right guy. I mean, he stood up and said, I'm not going to go fight your war in Vietnam. And they took his title away from him illegally. They had no legal reason to be able to do that. They were just pissed that they took his title and he had to fight. And he would predict the rounds and the knockouts and all that stuff. And then he became this celebrity. And, after he beat Foreman in Thriller and Zaire, he's now at the end of his career. And he's going to fight Larry Holmes. And Larry Holmes is a gentleman giant, good shape, never lost a fight. He's going to fight Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali is his idol. So I'm coming out of Central Park by the plaza on 59th Street and 5th Avenue, and there's a small crowd, maybe 10 people. I said, oh my God, it's Ali. I walk over and I join the crowd. And there's Muhammad signing autographs, doing his brash thing, and I say to him, Muhammad, don't fight this guy. What you talking, chump? Don't fight this guy, Muhammad. He's dangerous. You're not who you used to be, Muhammad. Don't fight this guy. And he's saying, I'm going to whoop him. I said, no, you ain't whooping anybody. I have this whole argument with him because I love the guy and I don't want him to get in the ring with Larry Holmes. Well, he gets in the ring with Larry Holmes, and after 3 rounds, Ali is already exhausted, and Holmes is holding him up and lightly tapping him. He doesn't even want to hit him. He's beating him on points because he could have knocked him out in any minute. And it was the saddest day of my life. And I said, he didn't listen to me. I kept telling everybody in the audience, he didn't listen to me. All right, I want to switch gears. Now we got the election coming up. And I've been trying to figure out, what is it with Trump's base? What is it that makes them immune to logic and reason and being able to see who this man is? I mean, everybody now, with all the books that are coming out, you really know what a phony he is. You know he's got no soul. You know he has no empathy. You know he's a liar. You know he's a cheat. You know he'll do anything against anybody that says anything against him. He's a vile human being. He just really is. And yet, people love him. They just, and you look at you don't want to classify people, but they all fall into a certain, you see those pictures of these Trump followers. They're like reminds me of when Jim Jones, when the Kool-Aid people, no matter what he said, they followed him. And he's got these followers. And the only thing I can reduce it to is he has clearly stated that the Make America Great Again really means we don't want any more brown and black. America's white. Let's keep it white. We're having too many immigrants. And what color are these immigrants? They're not white. And all these congressmen and all these people that are going to get into power, they're going to take away your farm. They're going to take away your job. Some Pakistani is going to come to you and take away your carrots from you. You know, some other guy's going to take your woman. Some other guy's going to steal your money. It's all fear-based racism. And if you have that belief, that's what he stands for. He's your protector from America changing. You want to go back to the good old days when misogyny was in power, racism was in power, white people, the old boy network, the banking thing. If you were black and poor, you were there. You were poor because you wanted to be poor. If you were a woman, sorry, too bad, honey. You know, you can't vote. Or, you know, we only have men on the chairman of the board. And, you know, the Supreme Court was before Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth and all. This is the world that he wants, male, white, in power. And if you look, you don't see a lot of Hispanics voting for him. You don't see a lot of black. You see only white people. And that's the core. What I'm scared about is the ones that don't admit they're racist, the ones who in company keep quiet when Trump's name comes up, because I'm afraid that racism is much bigger than we think it is. And now he's fanning the flames of it to make sure that he riles everybody up, that, you know, he fills them with fear, he fills them with anxiety, that, you know, and it doesn't even have to be true, because he can just make up a statistic, he can make up a fact. You know, fact check. You know, racism is an emotional thing. You're born with it. It's in your family. It's the way you were raised. It's as familiar as your Quaker oats. It's the road you walk to school. It's the way things look. You don't want that to change. And I think the basis now of his followers is to really get that message across. And of course, the Democrats, they're running a black woman. And Joe Biden is an old guy. And if Joe Biden bites the bullet, got a black woman as president. Now, there's two things that Trump people don't like. It's black and women. And you put them together. Plus, she's married to a white guy. I mean, you know, they'll get the church people up against all of that. So, I mean, it's sad. It's sad that we've come that far. I watched this morning, Rachel Maddow had Michael Cohen on. And they asked Michael Cohen, what is it with this obsession with Obama? What is it that makes Trump hate him so much? He said, well, just compare them. Obama is Harvard Law School, a constitutional lawyer, an absolute eloquent speaker, a kind-hearted soul who's loved by everybody, has a warm family with an intelligent wife and dogs and everybody else. He is everything that Trump wants to be. Maybe not the black part, but he can't stand that he can't even debate him, because Obama is so eloquent that he would tear him up. And so here's Trump trying to eradicate everything that he's envious of, things that he can buy and sell and manipulate and squeeze and power and do everything, but he can't get the adulation from the people that like Obama, like Hollywood, or things that Trump sees himself as an entertainment person. He's a TV, radio, you know, media star. He would love it if Hollywood brought him in. Well, Hollywood won't even talk to him. But you see Obama at all the Hollywood events. So I really think that the bottom line here is the election is going to be determined by racism. And I think it's why Trump is there in the very beginning, because I think it's the reaction that white America had to the black guy getting elected. You know, Mitch McConnell said on the very first day, you know, an old Southern boy from Kentucky. said, I'm not going to let the black guy get anything done. We're going to block him from day one. And he hadn't even done anything yet, but just who he was. And I think that stigma and that mentality is really what you're up against. So you can't tell them that, you can't tell these people that Trump's a liar or that he's a thief or that, he used Russia and he's still doing with Russia. But Cohn actually believes, he said, well, he's a racist, straight out. He's a racist. And he'll continue, and it'll get even worse. So that's my sad commentary on the politics of today. Now, I got some time for this piece of America is lost. And unfortunately, I feel that way. And when it was in the 50s, I remember saying, well, my grandfather said, well, the good old days were back in the 20s, because he was young in the 20s. And I said, well, I'm young now, and it's the 50s. And if they ever say that the 50s is the good old days, I'm here to tell you it wasn't the good old days, because I lived during the 50s, and it was boring. It was, there wasn't a hell of a lot going on. Maybe you had some hot rods going on for a young guy. There was some cars and stuff, and then, well, they had some music that Elvis started to play, and so some rock and roll came in, but, it was the beginning of something. But they didn't like it. Don't forget, Elvis was a danger to everybody. He got censored on the Ed Sullivan Show. So the whole idea that the 50s was great, it wasn't. It had some nostalgia to it. And when I listen to Waylon Jennings or I listen to Willie Nelson, when they sing songs of the road and they sing songs of what America was, it's the innocence of America when they made a good product. The local honest guy worked for John Deere and worked on the farm. And when they made a piston, they made it well. Or when they made a car part, they made it well. You could be proud of the product. Made in America was something that represented something. That's before it became Japan and then Korea, Vietnam, now China, But that America, with the drive-in theaters, with the old diners. Now I'm a diner guy. I've traveled the country all my hitchhiking. I love the diners. I love the waitresses. That America is still there. But even the diners are changing. It's not the old sloppy, greasy spoon anymore. Now it's a diner restaurant, and they got a better section over there with tablecloths and stuff. But I'm talking about the Woolworths that had the soda fountain with the spinny chairs. You could sit on a chair and spin around, and they served you a cheap hamburger, and you had a vanilla Coke with it, or you got a malted. It was the America of simple stuff. You didn't fear your neighbor. You could hitchhike out on the road. TV was simple. You had 7 choices. It was just 2 channels, 2 through 13. It wasn't fancy. And the radio had talk shows, really nice. I remember listening to Gene Shepard telling stories out of Chicago on a hot summer night, or listening to Garrison Keillor, with the Prairie Show. That's the America I'm talking about. And sadly, it's being billboarded over. The local road that you took is no longer there. It's now a super highway. And whether you get off in Iowa or you get off in Ohio or you get off in Kansas, you're going to have the same kind of restaurant. It's all homogenized. The neighborhoods have been knocked down, and big, huge conglomerate office buildings and big community killing residences have been built. And so you lose the local stickball game. You lose the fire hydrant being opened and the kids running and playing in there, and the ice cream truck coming by. and selling it. That's the kind of nostalgia that I think when I listen to Waylon and I think about that. He's always talking about the rambling guy and the bars and the late night and the women pining and that kind of stuff. But that's old small story America. And I'm old enough just to have a certain nostalgia for that. I'm sure anybody under 30 has no idea what I'm talking about because you weren't born in that world. The cell phone has brought us a lot of convenience, but it's killed so much. People don't talk to one another. You don't wait in line to get on the phone and call somebody. You text them. People don't even use the phone as a phone. It's now a digital device. So, Waylon and Willie, I hear you. You get to me. I feel you. And hopefully we can survive and keep enough of us and get this country back on track. You remember that world, Karen?
Oh, that's a world that I just wish we could bring at least some of it back. Communication has gone out the window. And I agree with you regarding the phone. It's not used the way our one house phone was used when we were growing up. I mean,
kids use a party line, right?
Yeah, and people don't understand.
Still talking about her hair and nails on the phone.
Yeah, and people don't understand that we got by with that one phone. Okay, whereas now,
if you really had an emergency, you could tell her, listen, I really, Dad's had a heart attack. I need to call the cop.
But now kids get cell phones when they're 5, 6 years old. It's a totally different world, but I think there's a way to sort of bring some of that back into our life.
I went to see my son and his new baby, and we were down in the park in Hoboken. Now, Hoboken's got his gentrified, all young couples with babies, right? And they're all this generation young. And there was a kid yesterday, it was Monday night, and there was a mom and dad pushing a baby, an ultra modern, folds into a Cadillac. Yeah. And there was a little baby, maybe 1 year old, little tiny fingers, holding up a phone and watching a movie. 1 year old watching a movie on a phone. Now I said he's going to be typing pretty soon. Really. All right. Got time for 2 stories. Stories from the road. This is from the first book, Insanity Begins at Home, on Amazon. Pick it up, people. Story is out of Heidelberg, Germany. Now, I had gotten drafted during the call up to Vietnam. And lucky enough, I was sent to Heidelberg, Germany. And I spent 2 glorious years. Lucky enough to get off post, had an apartment, had a car. I used to transverse between Heidelberg and Mannheim, where there was the stockade. I was the social worker in the stockade, and so I was out all the time. I was down in the student clubs, and in the student clubs in Heidelberg was the connection, the anti-Vietnam connection of the French and German students. I used to go to Paris on the weekends and connect with people. I just had a name and, Jacques and a phone number and call them. So the connection was in the Cobb 54, which was a bomb shelter that was never used, but it got turned into a student club. And my girlfriend had a cousin who was coming over, and her boyfriend was this guy, Robert. And Robert was Dutch. He's from Amsterdam. So we got to know him, blah, blah, blah. We're talking and everything. And he says, he's got a travel agency. And what he does is he has college American students and college Scandinavian students go on a tour. They go to London, then they go to Amsterdam, then they're going to go to Heidelberg and on to Switzerland, down to Italy, and come back. And he can't do the job anymore. He's the agent in Heidelberg because he's got to go back to the main office in Amsterdam. So I said to him, well, I know Heidelberg. He says, yeah. He says, but you're in the Army. I said, yeah, but I'm off on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. He said, really? He said, you could meet the train on Friday? I said, absolutely. So he hires me. Turns out to be the world's greatest job. Now, I'm 25 years old, making money in the Army because I'm now an E5. I can't spend it. Germany is cheap. I have an apartment, comes with a maid who cleans it. So he gives me a job as a representative of the Dutch travel agency in Heidelberg. My job is to meet these 15, 22, 21-year-old girls at the train station in Heidelberg. Right? You talk about sending the wolf into the hen house. What's my job? Get them a hotel, take them into the student clubs, take them shopping, show them around, which I do. Now he's paying me a salary. So now I take to the hotel and I come into the hotel and I say, I have 15 girls who need rooms. They're going to be every other week. Thank you very much. He gives me 10% back.
Not bad.
So now I got to go to restaurants. So I take them to the student restaurants and I say the same thing to the maitre d'. I'm bringing in 15 girls every other weekend. Not only will your guy clients be happy, but everybody will be happy. And he gives me back money. Now I'm going into the student clubs. Now I'm taking them around. It was like, all right, I'm getting paid from the Army. I'm getting paid a salary from him. I'm getting paid by the hotels. I'm getting paid by the restaurants. I'm getting paid if I took them to the tourist boat, the ride up the Neckar, I got money back. I'm like, I figured out how to be an entrepreneur. And I had first shot at all the girls. So it became known in my family as the greatest job known to man.
Absolutely.
My mother said they got the right guy for that job. Last story for the day. It's called Monsieur Le Django. Now I'm hitchhiking out of Lisbon. I hitchhike down to the Algarve, go through there, go into Spain and Sevilla. I meet this gorgeous woman from Belgium. We go to 4 cities. We're just going from city to city, having this wonderful romantic adventure. And I wind up in Torremolinos to see a friend of mine. And the affair is over. She had to go back to Belgium. And my buddy, who ran a cafe in Greenwich Village, he's supposed to go with me to Morocco. But the day before we're supposed to leave, his relatives show up. And he says, I can't go. You have to go by yourself. Well, I'm going to go to Morocco by myself? Yeah, go ahead, go. All right, so he gives me a name. He says, Muhammad. He has a pipe shop in the Medina in Old Marrakesh. Not New Marrakesh, Old Marrakesh. So I fly to Casablanca. Casablanca is nasty. It's not a very pretty city at all. It's dirty, it's nasty. It didn't feel safe. I just hung around. And I get a ticket to Marrakesh. Now, what is the ticket? It's for the Midnight Express that goes from Casablanca to Marrakesh. I'm expecting this fancy train. Now, it's not a train. It's a bus. So I get on the bus at midnight, packed full of Sunni Muslims. And we get it's like a 6-7 hour ride all the way through the night. You get to Marrakesh in the early morning. About 2 hours into the ride, the bus breaks down. So everybody off the bus. We're now out in the Moroccan desert. I never saw so many stars. I mean, never. And I've been to Montana. Never saw this many stars. I'm just in awe looking at the stars. Next thing I smell is ganja. all the Arabs get these long, skinny pipes. They put the ganja, which is hashish, crushed up, and they're all smoking. They're passing it around to everybody except the women. They wouldn't give it to the women. So this Arab guy just gives me his pipe. Well, I take a toke on this now. I'm gone. I have no idea. It's I'm out in the Moroccan desert at 1:45 in the morning. I don't give a damn. This is lovely. I'm saying, this is wonderful. And back on the bus. We go another 2 hours. Sure enough, the bus breaks down again. Now we're outside in there. Out comes more ganja. Now I'm standing next to this shorter guy, and he doesn't look Arab. Everybody's got the jalibas on, so you can't really see, their face. But it's dark and it's at night. So as he's talking, we're speaking French. Now I had French in college. My French is bad, but I can get by. His French is even worse. And I hear something in his accent. It just sounded New York to me. So I say to this guy, I quit the French. I say, where are you from? You're from the city. He says, yeah, I'm from Bronxville. I said, yeah, what's your name? He said, well, my name is blah, blah, blah. He said, what are you doing on here? I said, I'm a tourist. I'm going to Marrakesh. He said, oh, listen, you could stay with me. Where is he? He's in the Casbah. And who is he? He's from the Peace Corps. He's got a Peace Corps house in Marrakesh. So now we get to Marrakesh. It's early in the morning. Now there's the two Marrakeshes. There's the new French modern European, which is fancy hotels, swimming pools, and stuff like that. And then there's the Arab Medina, the Casbah, with the tiny little streets and the water pipe in the street where you get your pail and you bring it to your house because there's no running water, there's no toilets, there's no electricity. I mean, it's really, everything is lamps and stuff. So he puts me up at this house, and it is fantastic. I mean, here I am. I'm now living behind a wall, and I got a bare room with just a cot and everything. And he says, so who are you going to see? I said, I'm going to go see, I got a name here. It's Muhammad. He has a pipe shop. He said, oh, Muhammad. He said, he's a friend of 2 Americans. He's really good. I'll take you to see him. So he takes me down to see him. We go to Muhammad. Here's a little pipe shop upstairs. He said, but it's not really a pipe shop. He said, it's really a discotheque. And come back tonight. And we come back tonight. There's the discotheque downstairs. Now, this is the smokiest place you've ever been in. And what makes it a discotheque? They have a Wurlitzer. One Wurlitzer. So, with the freaking trips upstairs to smoke the ganja, and I'm like completely lost. I go upstairs and I say to the guy, I have to go back. I'm really, I haven't slept in 2 nights and I'm stoned, blah, blah, blah. He says, okay, 2 rights, 2 lefts, and a right. So I go out, I make a right. Was that a second right or was that a second left? Did he say 2 lefts and a right, or was it a right, left, right, left? I get totally lost. Now I'm in the Casbah. It's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm completely out of my mind. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where he lives. I don't even know how to get back to the Casbah. And I'm just hoping. I said, if there's a pack of guys coming along, I'm really gone. As I walked around, it was almost 2 hours of walking around, and I see the road leading back to where I started. Oh my God. I'm just so happy. So I go back to the square where Muhammad's living. Now everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. There's nobody left. I'm just outside. The pipe store is next to a rug store. The rug store is all tied up. They don't bring them in at night. They just tie them up. I take the rug out. I put it on the floor. I now go to sleep. So it's about 2:30, 2 hours and a half, 2.5 hours later. It's like 8 in the morning. I wake up. I'm in the I'm in the square. The animals are in now. The people are coming in. They're setting up the glass for the kids to walk on the glass. The fire guys are there. The vegetable market is beginning. It. Life is coming into this place, and oh my God. So I still have boots on, boots. So I decided I'm going to buy a jalaba. I got to look a little bit more local. So the store is open. I buy a thing. You pull it over your head. It's a long robe. Blah blah blah. I'm now wearing this jalaba, and I got the boots. Now at this time, I'm a hippie. I got long hair hanging down my back. As I'm walking through the square, I look up, and there's a sign advertising a movie of the week. It's got a Clint Eastwood-looking character wearing a jalaba with the black and tan stripes that I have, and he's got the long hair with a little thing out of it. And it's advertising a cowboy western knockoff in French called Monsieur le Django, with the jangles on the boots. Monsieur le Django. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, that guy looks like me. Well, anyway, I look like the guy in the thing. All right. So now Muhammad comes and he says, I can get you back to the Peace Corps house. Gives me a little map, writes down the directions exact. I got them in my hand, and I'm walking. I start walking down the street, and I notice a pack of little kids starting to follow me. Now, they're staying like a half a block behind me, but they're slowly getting closer, and each block, more and more kids are coming. So now we come to a turn in the road, and I stop and I turn back and I look at the kids. Well, the kids took that as an acceptance, and they come running up. Now they're screaming, Monsieur le Django, Monsieur le Django. They think I'm Monsieur le Django. And so I'm looking at myself, I'm looking at the sign, I'm looking at the kids and everything, and a kid comes up, he's got a little pad, somebody else gives him a pencil. And so I think, what the hell? These kids don't get out much. I start signing autographs as Monsieur le Django.
Oh, I love it.
Hand in the mouth. As I'm doing this, Dave is coming down to the Casbah, down to the square to find me because I never came home. So he's coming down to looking at me. And he stops and he sees me signing autographs for all these kids. He starts scratching his head. He says, holy crap. He says, you're in Marrakesh 10 hours and you're already signing autographs.
Oh.
Monsieur le Django. So, that's today's, folks.
And you know what? It was fun. You tickled our fancy today, told
Good.
us a little bit of everything. And we just appreciate your podcasting with us. So again, next week. And tell us again who you're going to have next week.
Next week is Matt Ludmer from the Alignment Wealth Center. A Jubu, a Jewish Buddhist. See him next week.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.